21,000 mile 1979 Trans Am WS6. What's going on, guys? Danny from Slow Restoration. Today in the shop we have a 1979 Trans Am WS6. It's a very cool car. However, it is a little on the rough side. So we're going to kind of go around, do a walk around, through, underneath, take a good look at this car, and we need to decide whether it's worth saving, or at least in my opinion, is it worth saving? Quick walk around the outside here. It does have the 8-inch honeycomb wheels or snowflake wheels, whichever you choose to call them. There probably is a correct, I think they are different. I think these are the snowflake, but either way. And right there, 4-wheel disc brake. There's 2 clues that this is an actual WS6 car. The next one is actually over on the driver's side. And if we open the driver's side door up here, this car was repainted at one time, but the door jamb is still the original red. If we look closely at this sticker, hopefully you guys can see that there. Tire size is 225/70/15. And from the best of my knowledge, it's one of the best ways to show or document if this sticker is still here, whether it was a WS6 car, because only the WS6 cars with the 8-inch wheel got that size tire. Take a quick look up here at this top sticker. So this manufacturing date was 1979. And it does have a ragged out, but originally a deluxe interior. So it's got the different seats in it. This, for whatever reason, did not have power windows, but it did have cruise control, tilt wheel, of course, air conditioning, and power antenna. And I do not claim to know everything about these this second-gen Trans Am at all. So I'm learning as I'm going here too with a little research. I think most of them did have the remote mirror, which this one also does have. But if we shine the light in here, we're going to go inside and look at the odometer. And this gauge is a little bit crusty, but it is showing 21,603 1/10 mile. From everything I've noticed on this car and the story I got from this car when I bought it, that's original miles. So it's a 21,000 mile 1979 Trans Am WS6. Obviously it's got black interior. Dash pad is actually pretty nice. I don't see any cracks or gouges, breaks in it. Does have an 8-track, which is way outdated at this point, but it is cool. It's still there. Again, a lot of rust and just corrosion in this car. These doors do shut absolutely amazing. These are extremely heavy doors. If you never opened and shut a door in the second-gen Camaro Firebird, these are really heavy doors, and it does not take very long at all for the hinges to wear out. Even low miles, older cars, just because they were, you know, they sat a lot, people open and shut the door a lot, even if they weren't driving them, that wore. And both of these doors have zero play in the hinges, or at least little to none. And deluxe interior with air conditioning. It is automatic, so this car being a 1979 with an automatic, you should already know what's going to be under the hood, but let's go ahead and pop it and check it out. So the 79, when you had an automatic trans, was the 403 Olds engine, which sounds funny considering this is a Pontiac, but that's just what they did back then. It does have the shaker hood. That's a real, you know, as you can see from the hole in the hood, that's a real shaker. As that engine's running, that dances around in there. But this thing is completely original, as you would expect from a 21,000 mile car. Supposedly 21,000 mile car. Everything is still here. Most of the hose clamps, like that top hose, has been off. I'm guessing they probably put a thermostat in it, but a lot of the hoses still has the old tower clamp. This one's been replaced. That upper hose has been replaced, but that still had the tower clamp. The lower hose here still has the tower clamp, and a lot, even this hose off the radiator still has the little spring clamps on them. And a lot of things that's normally missing on these cars is completely intact. Here's all the cruise control system, which is kind of a big contraption for 1979. It was not electronic hardly at all, just kind of an arming feature. But it's a very complicated system. We'll leave it at that. But if we look at the shaker system, it has a hose. Of course, that hose is completely deteriorated, but the plastic pieces themselves, even the little plastic clamp is still here. So the plastic ductwork, this little bracket that holds this ductwork on, and then the secondary piece that goes down and is kind of a cold air induction for the bottom, all that's still intact. So I don't really see anything missing on this except for the AC belt. And I have a feeling I know why they pulled that. This engine is actually froze from sitting, so it doesn't turn over. We're gonna try to address that, maybe pull the spark plugs out and soak it down, but the AC compressor is also froze, so I'm guessing they probably took the belt off just to see if they could get it to roll around, which is a good idea. It's a good start, but under the hood, that's the only thing I really see that's missing. Some small things like the little bolt here and the band clamp that holds the shaker hood scoop on. But this thing is amazingly original. If we look real closely, let me get my light. We look real closely, we still have the stamp on the valve cover here. Just kind of looking around, like all the stuff that normally gets pulled off of these cars and just thrown away. Again, like that little tab there. That stuff never gets put back once it gets taken off. Is still here on this car. Yes, it's rough. Yes, it needs restored, but it is truly amazing at how much stuff is original on this car. But it doesn't really matter how much stuff is here if the condition is so poor it's not restorable. So let's start taking a look at the actual condition of this car. Now they do make a lot of parts for this car. Obviously doors, fenders, quarter panels, hood, a lot of stuff they make for this car, floor pans, which this car is probably gonna need most of that. Let's take a peek at the hood since we're right here. It does have some rust right here in the corner. Overall, it's actually not bad. It would probably clean up, but that's probably gonna be a deal breaker. Probably gonna need a hood. So even though this engine is locked up, again, what I was getting at is if it is the original engine, which we're assuming it is, it's worth pulling out, completely going through, restoring everything. Everything's here. It just needs to be cleaned up and reconditioned. We'll start from the front here. The urethane nose is not actually terrible. There is some spider cracking, but that's kind of normal. Again, everything's here, which is a huge plus. Someone did pull the hood cable release out, so that would all naturally have to be replaced anyway. So looking further back, it does have the bigger sway bar. It should have the faster ratio or variable ratio I think these had. Steering box being a WS6, and it's pretty rusty here. There is a spot of rust on the subframe right there. Obviously could be repaired, but honestly I would just replace the whole subframe. Be a lot faster and easier. It's trash actually. The more I look at it, the more rust I see. So the subframe would need replaced. The radiator support is completely gone, along with some of these bottom filler panels. So that also would have to be replaced. Inner fenders don't look horrible, but if you're going to do fenders and everything else, you're going to put new inner fenders in too. Moving further back, subframe bushings, obviously when you replace the subframe, are going to be replaced. This is another WS6 thing. These little supports that come off the bottom A-arm bracketry, and not all of the WS6 cars got them for some reason, but this one did. They're there. and still there. So as we come back, you can see toe boards gone. Floorboards are completely trashed. That's actually carpet right there, and it smells disgusting because it's damp. Rocker panels actually aren't horrible. Not bad at all. They're kind of stained because of rust coming down off the doors, but if we look back, they're really not bad. I'd have to see how it looks behind that little flare there, but if we go to this side, again, not bad at all. Again, stained, and there is some surface rust, but I see no holes actually. So definitely would need a one-piece floor. So without doubt, one-piece floor. Probably the toe boards are part of the firewall, so probably a firewall, one-piece floor. I'm hoping the inner rockers are good, but you can't really tell until you get into it. Frame rails are crusty. It's actually starting to crack and delaminate right there. So frame rails it would need. Obviously trunk pan. The trunk pan, looking from inside the trunk, isn't actually bad, real bad. It's got one spot in it, but by the time you fix that one spot and do frame rails, you might as well just put a whole trunk pan in. So obviously someone did exhaust at some point from at least here back. It does still have the stock pancake converter on it, catalytic converter, in kind of rough shape, but it is still present. This is a turbo 350. Looks to be, again, original. It's still got the plastic dust shield on it, all the original lines and stuff like that. We get to all the way in the back. We see that 10 bolt. Again, it's seeping, but that's very, very normal. When these things sit, doesn't matter how many miles they have on them, they start leaking. It does have, again, 4-wheel disc brake. You can see all that right there on both sides. It does have a rear sway bar. I think the Trans Ams, or at least the WS6, got a slightly larger rear sway bar, even though that's still pretty small. The rear tail pan behind this urethane bumper is gone. Even nice cars rust there, so that's not surprising. Quarters aren't as bad as you would think with the way everything else looks, but you know, whether it's that spot or a larger spot, they'd still need replaced to do the job correctly. Rear urethane bumper, it's pretty nice. Taillights are probably savable. Spoiler looks in good shape. There's a lot of savable stuff, but there is a lot of sheet metal work that needs done. So this would be a beautiful car done. Black interior, Mayan red with the striping. So what do you guys think? In my opinion, I think it is worth restoring, saving. You're gonna have some money in it. Honestly, these cars have come a long ways in value. These cars, really nice examples of these cars you see for pretty good money right now. So I think it is worth doing, and I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I have the ability. I don't know if I have the time and or desire to do this car. This would be an absolute gorgeous car finish though. Obviously the striping would go back on with the bird and the Trans Am vinyls and stuff like that. It was an original red car. I think it's Mayan red. Beautiful color. Beautiful car. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good day.